We will welcome everybody online, so welcome back. And we now welcome Marcelo Medeiros from the Caritas Spiritist group, who will talk a little bit about the Fraternity Without Borders.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for allowing me to be here and to talk a little bit about Fraternity Without Borders. I think many of you already know this beautiful project that was founded in 2009. The main goal was to help families and children in Africa, but now not only they do projects in Africa, but also here in the US, in Brazil, and other countries, and help over 38,000 people around the world. And instead of me talking about it, we brought a video that was recorded and created by the kids in the Republic of Congo. So they will, with their own words and music, talk a little bit about the impact of this beautiful work in their lives.
Inspired by you, and started a beautiful movement of love for Africa. That's why we are here.
Pelo estímulo de amor, mas ainda precisamos ir bem mais longe. O nosso sonho é fazer o We Are the World Brasil-África, porque a fome ainda é avassaladora. We are the world.
And that was the work they do in Africa. And here, I'm bringing to us a little bit of the work that Fraternity is doing here in the US, because we have this project called Fraternity on the Streets to create positive transformation for the homeless. And we already have this work in New York, Las Vegas, Denver, Boston, Seattle, Miami, and we are bringing this work here to Atlanta. So the goal of this project is to give love and also the help we can to people in situation of homelessness here in Atlanta. So we are launching this project and doing the first distribution on December 7th. So the goal is to give bags with like some products of personal hygiene products, water and cereals and fruits. So whoever wants to help, you can contact me. This is my phone number here, 347-530-2048. You can spread the word. You can be with us on that day to help assemble the bags, to help deliver the bags. And as João mentioned during the Q&A, it's also a way for us to exercise our mediumship, no matter if it is ostensive or non-ostensive. By helping, by doing charitable work, we are helping not only the ones who receive those bags, but we are helping ourselves too, doing this work that Jesus wants us to do here in this planet. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marcelo. It's a beautiful work, and hope we'll see many people here on December 7th there. So congratulations, it's beautiful. Well done. So to continue our conference, we will now have a roundtable discussion. This will be a moment for our speakers to provide us with more insights into mediumship and share with us their thoughts and related topics. So to moderate this panel discussion, we will have our friend Marcia Trajano. Marcia is the president and one of the founders of the Solitude Center for Spiritual Living, an organization focused on promoting Spiritism through virtual platforms. She currently co-hosts the podcast Psychology and Spirituality, A Bridge to a Better Life, which is based on the teachings of Joana de Angelis and produced in collaboration with Mansão do Caminho, in the U.S. Spiritist Federation, the International Spiritist Council, and AME Brazil. At this time, we welcome back to the stage João, Luis, and Marcia.
So short. It is so good to be here amongst friends. And I just want to say that the topic, right? The topics, because Josara did hers, although she's not here with us, were very inspiring. So we're going to do this fireside chat, just no Q&A, just a little bit of conversation. And if you have any questions that this additional talk may inspire you, write it down, because they have another Q&A. Cool? So I just wanted to say it is incredible to be here, and I was very touched by Luis's topic, like the whole idea that comes from electricity to an outlet to the magnet to all the way to our laptops, our microphone, etc. But if you look into Allan Kardec's The Medium's book, you really see, Luis, that he describes mediumship not as an extraordinary gift that only a few people have, right? But he says it's inherent capacity for everyone. All of us are mediums, right? He calls some of us are productive mediums, some of us are not. But I have this mental picture based on what you said, this whole electricity going on, that many times we believe with the education of mediumship that you could do a switch now, turn on and off. Can we do that, Luis?
Well, let me say yes and no. The no part means it's not a physical switch that you turn really on and off by moving a device. It's not this. I think we spoke about this in the Q&A a little bit. Mediumship is an organic faculty. That's well established by Allan Kardec in the Medium's book. So those who are pronounced, as you say, pronounced mediums, they have this ability this prolific ability to make it happen. However, you cannot really go inside your head because it's an organic faculty. So there's something physical in here, which is a pineal gland, that makes it happen. You cannot go in, put your finger in, and turn it off, as you do into a light switch. But the turn off means, and João spoke about this a little bit, how to deal with that. And I gave you the example of a spammer, email spam. You have to deal with it once it gets in. the ability that the medium has is going to be always there. So the medium has to be able to, in his own favor, by the way, to select what is good, what's not, what should come through, what should not. At times, especially in the beginning, the medium is going to be bothered by this, I want this, I don't want that, it's going to be difficult, what I don't want, I can't stop, it's becoming difficult in the beginning. With time, it will become easier to the point that it gets an automated process. You just switch on and off, as you said, because you learn how to do it so well, and so it gets so well established that you do this like a snap of fingers. But it's not an easy thing. It requires study. It requires a lot of practice. It requires understanding from the medium's part that this is not something that the medium cannot control. For example, bad spirits for coming in. We are all susceptible to these influences, and it's all here. We allow or not, we deal with that. And I think that the turn-off switch is, this thing is not good, not right, let go. So you just set it aside, but not physically in terms of, because we spoke so much about the physical world, electricity, not like a switch. It's a mental process that happens and turns off and on. It's like João gave us a very good example. He lives in New York. It's a lot of noise. At one point, you don't feel the noise anymore. You don't hear the noise anymore because it gets an automated process, but it takes time. In the first day, in the first week, it's difficult if you're coming from, a quiet place. But it's a process. The medium has to allow himself to go through that and never say, I can't do this. Yes, you can. It's a matter of, going through the process.
And we could talk a lot more about it, right, João? I think your two metaphors, one, the noise, suppressing the noise, but also opening the door only to those people that that you want to allow in. So I think the message here for everyone is, right, education. And by education, when we talk about study, understand what mediumship is all about. Right? So with that, I'm going to go a little bit further, João. I'm thinking about you. If you could think about this innate capacity. Somebody had a question, is my 7-year-old child with an imaginary friend, is he or she a medium or not, etc. And you explained quite well. But we can think, for example, Raul Teixeira, who's here, and his relationship with Camilo, right? Or Divaldo Franco. We had Chico Xavier. Those are very, very prolific mediums. They worked, they produced. And let's pretend now it's me. I'm a medium.
You are.
And boy, I want to write books. Come on, André Luiz, come through me. Why can I not be a Chico Xavier, for example? Or can I?
You can.
Okay.
And you will be one day. How many incarnations you take depends on you. But yes, I want to acknowledge the presence of Raul Teixeira here, right? A lot of the things we are talking about here, we learn from him, we learn through his works, and it's an honor to have him here with us.
Right.
We're talking about, at lunch, we're talking about 10% inspiration and 90% perspiration, right? And I think the work of being a good medium, a productive medium, it is 90% perspiration. You have to study, you have to work, you have to prepare yourself. Because if you do your part, the rest will come naturally. If you worry too much about whose spirits are going to show up to work with you, you are not focusing on what matters. The main focus should be prepare yourself. Be ready. And if you're ready, when the worker is ready, the work will come. So I think that's the main point of developing or working, and I agree with Luis, I don't like the word developing your mediumship. I think it's educating your mediumship is the right word, right? You prepare yourself. You do the best you can to learn more, to prepare yourself, to learn how to connect to the spirits you want to be around you, to learn how to prevent the spirits you don't want to be around you to get close to you, and then the consequence will be the result will be the good work.
I think earlier today we talked about, somebody had a question about, I am a medium, I went through this, studying, I'm ready, but I'm not practicing, I'm not working. And I just thought that maybe you could talk a little bit about that, João, especially the book by André Luiz, In the Domains of Mediumship, not the Domains of Mediumship, The Messengers, where there's this whole preparation. What are your thoughts? In addition to this desire in this hypothetical situation, I want to be Chico Xavier, everybody wants, by the way, right? And channel the writings of André Luiz, but then what about if I am, and then I decide not to? Can you talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, the risks of being a medium, working and developing your mediumship is vanity, right? The main risks of a good medium is vanity and pride, because you become fascinated by your own work. All these good spirits communicating through me. I'm sure I'm someone special, and that's the first step downhill that you are taking, because the main characteristic of Chico Xavier was humility. Yes. I never did anything. The work is all from the spirits, right? That's a real medium that understands its own purpose, right? So I think if we work on our mediumship, we educate our mediumship, and then we move somewhere there is no place for us to work our mediumship in the terms of receiving, communications from the spirits. We are connected to the spirits all the time, right? Can't we use the spirits to help inspire us, to help this person that is going through a difficult time, right? So today I heard of a case of a young lady that tried to kill herself, right? We can use, if we have the access to the person, and we can be of help and of assistance. That's mediumship. Yes. That's using our mediumship. Yeah. Because every time that we want to help others in a positive way, we are being mediums, and we are using our mediumship. We are going to be guided, inspired by the spirits, and even they will do the work for us, through us. So, again, going back, we don't need to be in a Spiritist center, and if you have the opportunity to help someone, really help someone, that takes preference over everything else that you have to do at the moment. Even go to the Spiritist center, because
I love that, by the way. Really, really like that. I know you're going to speak, and you don't want anything that will spoil your discussion later.
Yeah, but I'll talk about something else.
But I thought Marcelo came earlier, talk about the work of Fraternity Without Borders, and one could say that it was mediumship that inspired Wagner to begin that work. And it is incredible if you think about 15 years and 500,000 meals a day. And it's just staggering to see the results of what came from an inspired thought process. And if you ever had a chance to hear from him, he was here in Miami early in the year, and it was just fascinating to hear from him, because when he speaks, inspired in humility, right? But he described his experience, and he would go, "Not it," no, not it. This fire, this inspiration that kept haunting him to do the work, only materialized when he started working with Africa and children. So it's beautiful to think about that. But
And
yeah.
only reincarnation explains, right?
Yeah, yes.
How come that he decided to work with Africa?
Yeah.
If you look at his past, I'm sure there's something
Yeah.
with Africa, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And,
Yeah.
and that's the fascinating aspect of Spiritism, right? It has explanations for everything. We just have to look for it.
Yeah, there's free will, of course, and just to wrap this up, but he was criticized, we should all know, very much so. Why do you have to go to Africa when you're in Brazil, and there's so many starving children? And that's where the reincarnation piece becomes quite strong. He recognizes what we, Brazilians, through our heritage from Portugal, have done to Africa and Africans. So time to do a little bit to those who need. But wanted to maybe talk a little bit about the fact that Jussara mentioned in her time with us earlier today, virtually, she talked about how we grow as evolving spirits through mediumship, right? And I believe we touched upon that, but it is through listening, through being inspired, because mediumship is this. This is, right? It is a microphone. It is a medium that from one to the other, the message goes through. So for us to see that as mediums, or through the mediumship of, metaphorically speaking, a microphone, we can be, guided to the right work. The work that perhaps, as in the missionaries, we were, before we reincarnated, that we were prepared to work through. So let's think about it. What is my work? What is my mission? Do I need to go to Africa? Do I need to go on December 7th to the streets of Atlanta to help the homeless? Do I need to listen to my annoying neighbor who always wants to talk and I don't have time? You choose your type of mediumship. But I wanted to ask, and it can be either one of you, just a slightly different topic. When you talk about Kardec again, and he brought to us through this idea of education and development, if you will, of mediumship, and it's not easy to do it, right? What did you say? It's this thick? And quite frankly, for me, the medium's book was not enough. There is an enormous body of work that we can get into to learn more about mediumship. But if you think about it, let's pretend now I am that child that we talked about earlier today, and I'm now 15, 16, 19, and mediumship, or the symptoms of mediumship, are there, and I'm inserted in this culture. So we're talking about North America, a very skeptical country and society regarding spiritism or communication with spirits. And another layer of difficulty here, which is mental health issues, which we also talked about, right? Some being diagnosed with schizophrenia, etc. Can either of you talk about how do I talk to my family about all the symptoms? How do I talk to my friends? How do I talk to my loved ones, my schoolmates, my co-workers about all that I do? Now I'm thinking of you, Luis, because you talked about the chair that I can see and nobody else can see. But how do I talk about this? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, let me start by saying something you said in the beginning. My experience in dealing with the American public was very interesting. At least it was for me. It still is when I look back at it. In Brazil, where I came from, Spiritism is taught in a different way. When you come here to the US with the same line of thought, you're going to encounter a lot of resistance. Because the American public is very pragmatic. They need black and white answers, very straightforward. So when I first started doing lectures in English, I realized that in the first, maybe second or third lecture, and I said, this is the wrong approach, I'm not going to get anywhere. So that's why I started doing things that are more scientifically, like you saw here. That's all started 20 years ago, because the American public needs rationality in the answers, needs, you gotta be black and white in the way you convey the message. And I used to say it's very much like this. If you look at the financial results of a company, at the very end, the bottom line, you have your profit or your loss. That's what they look at. They don't look into the middle. They don't. So if you have a loss, then they're going to go up and say, where am I losing money? And then you have to explain that line, but they look at the bottom first. So when you start by the non-scientific side, it's more complicated to address to the American public, because science is more black and white, it's more straightforward. And then to support the scientific side, which is studying mediumship the way we try to do here today, which is just one of the legs, one of the avenues to study. But then if you support this scientific approach with philosophical, which is also includes rationality, it becomes easier. And then third, you get into the morals. Trying to do it the other way around, here in the US, myself and all the people I was working with, the message doesn't flow. And that's what you're saying. How do I address the family? How do I address the public? I think we have to address by explaining things, if possible, scientifically. They are very pragmatic. They need answers like this. If we start from the morals, coming down to science, it's not going to work. That's the Brazilian style. That's the Latin style. That's not the Saxon style. So we need to go from the bottom to the top. I had a lot of experience with that, trying to do this from the bottom up. And then I was really getting somewhere in terms of being able to convey the message and, have support from those who are listening to us, and they will then join us to help. And then you form a team of people who will doing this. So, going back, how do I address the family? By trying to be as pragmatic as you can with the answers. Allan Kardec was the most pragmatic guy that we know of. If you tell me, you and Allan Kardec, you're going to sit for a discussion, I run away. I don't even try, because I don't have the level of logic enough and rationality that he has, or he had. And that's what the American public needs. So codification becomes very, very, very important here before anything else. But we need the scientific part of it, which is most likely André Luiz, style. So I think that's the way we start addressing the public. And the family is a special case of public, but that's what I think we should do here.
João, do you agree or disagree?
No, I agree. But something that recently I spoke with Dr. Alexander Almeida, which is the most renowned Spiritist scientist in Brazil, right? That he's been working with a lot of scientific experiences in terms of the scientific approach to Spiritism. And one thing that he said that I think is very important, how does he approach someone that is not a Spiritist or the scientific community? He approaches on the subject that they know something about it and they are interested in. Near-death experience.
Yes. Yes.
He starts with near-death experience. Why? Because everyone here in the US knows someone, had their own experience, knows someone who had the experience, or knows someone that had the experience. So that's a starting point of a conversation. You cannot start with mediumship, because mediumship is not going to take you very far with someone that is not really interested. But when you talk about near-death experience, and then you follow up with the scientific approach, right? Because then you start talking about it. You get somewhere. The other subject, the second subject, because his recent book covers 3 subjects.
Yes.
Near-death experience, reincarnation, and mediumship. Reincarnation. 1/3 of the Americans believe in reincarnation. 99.9% have no idea how does it work. But we know, right? In Spiritism, we have a lot to contribute. So you bring the concept of reincarnation, and if the person is interested, it's another approach that you can enter and bring. So if someone, after near-death experience and reincarnation, then you can bring mediumship into it. And then, wrapping up, you tell them, I'm a Spiritist. What is this? Well, that's a philosophy, right, that covers all these aspects, that discusses all these aspects. So I agree with Luis, you have to come from the bottom up.
Yes.
You cannot start a conversation saying, I'm a Spiritist. Yo, what?
What is that, right?
Yeah, what is that? Oh, I believe in spirits. What? I believe in communication of spirits. Ugh, that's the damn demon
Cuckoo,
talking.
right? They call you
Yeah.
cuckoo.
Who's half of the audience?
You already lost the
Yeah.
audience, right? So you start the other way around, right? Everyone lost a loved one in their lives. So, where are they now? Everyone had a near-death experience somewhere close to them, read about it. You recommend the book by Dr. Eben Alexander, right? If you want to a scientific approach, neuroscientist a neurosurgeon, right? Brain surgeon that had a near-death experience and wrote a book. So,
And he's awesome. A resource that I recommend. And he wrote with, and I forgot the third author, but Humberto
Schubert,
co-wrote, and there's a third person.
Marina something.
And so I'm going to bring a little bit of my own here. My father is already 101 years old and absolutely afraid of dying. Prays every day just in case there is life after he dies. And so when that book, which was originally written in English, was published in Portuguese, gave to the man. Now, we talk after you read the book. I'm going to see him in December, so I'll talk about the book. So I highly recommend. Real tiny book, yeah. So anyways, we are only at 2 minutes. I'm going to do a public announcement here because I know a lot of people asked, and we discussed resources. So if you don't mind, I'm going to just tell, if you are looking for any type of Spiritist center or resources, I highly recommend the U.S. Spiritist Federation. Their website is spiritist.us, and Spiritist centers across the United States are listed there with contact information, website, if they have it. A really great way, especially if you're not in Atlanta in this case. One of the things that they bring to us as well, and João mentioned, I just wanted to bring to everyone here while we have time, is that there are many, many resources readily available. So ebooks, brochures, if you're a speaker or a beginning speaker of Spiritism, there are many, many resources there, workbooks, and the Introduction to Mediumship, a study guide for beginners, is there. It's a free course online that is, as both of you mentioned earlier, is delightful. So I highly recommend you look for it if you're interested and you don't have access to, especially a Spiritist center that you can know more. And there are many links in Portuguese and English. And we also mentioned some key books, the Medium's book, Allan Kardec, The Domains of Mediumship, we talk about it by André Luiz, through the mediumship of Chico Xavier. And there's another one, Disobsession, with same André Luiz and Chico Xavier. But I just want to say, you have a gift here. We're not talking about mediumship. We have each other. We are a community of Spiritists. We are a spiritual family. I recently moved to another state where there's nothing there. And boy, did I feel how hurtful the void of not having anyone that could speak my familial spiritual language or could fulfill my heart with the love and the trust in the truths that we all have. So take care of each other. This is amazing. It's really important, and I think cherish that. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thanks, João. Thanks, Luis. Thanks, Marcia. A lot to think about. Luckily, we have another QA session, so if you have any questions, just get ready, take a note, or submit this online. So moving on, the next session we have is with João Korngold, titled The Medium's Role in the Communication with Spirits. João is one of the founders and directors of the Spiritist Group of New York and the Spirits Alliance for Books. He began studying Spiritism more than 25 years ago and has been one of the directors of the Mediumship meeting at Spiritist Group of New York for the past 20 years. He's also responsible for study groups that focus on the basic books of Spiritism and on André Luiz's collection. He gives lectures on Spiritism in Portuguese and in English, and he's an engineer and works in banking. So, João, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't have a PowerPoint presentation, so the light can be only on me. Hello again. Thank you all for being here. It's an honor to be part of this conference, which it has been happening here in Atlanta for so many years, and it's always very enlightening and very educating. I'm going to approach mediumship from the Spiritist point of view, right? We talked a lot before about mediumship in general, mediumship as a way of helping us in our lives, but now I want to focus on mediumship, the role of the medium in the communication of spirits in a Spiritist center, right? So I want to focus on the work that Spiritism does and the Spiritist center should do in the mediumship meeting, right? So to start, let's think about what are the purposes of mediumship. We talked about mediumship, a lot about mediumship here, but let us think about what are the purposes of mediumship, right? The most important purpose of a medium is an opportunity to serve, right? We talked about this. Use your mediumship to help others. Without charity, there is no salvation. That's what Spiritism teaches us, right? So, salvation from whom or from what? Salvation from ourselves, from our inferior tendencies, from our imperfections. Without practicing charity, we are causing harm to ourselves. Of course, mediumship is a link between the two worlds, the physical world and the spiritual world. And the medium is an opportunity to serve as a bridge between these two worlds, right? they also bring the proof and foreshadowing of the spiritual world. So they bring what happens in the spiritual world, like many of the books by these famous mediums that we mentioned before, but also they give us knowledge, guidance, and above all, faith and hope on us eternal spirits. It gives us an opportunity to learn from the discarnate spirits, right? Because they are bringing messages to us. And gives us an opportunity for spiritual improvement. Jussara mentioned in her presentation, right? The opportunities of growth that mediumship allows us. By the way, if you like the poem that she had at the end, her book Transcendence, the first part is testimonials from spirits that were received during our mediumship meeting, and then the second part are some poems that she received as a medium. Her poems are psychographic. So if you want to look, we have the two versions in Portuguese and in English of the book called Transcendence, right? You have some copies there. So let's talk about to be a medium in a Spiritist meeting. What types of mediums and communications we have. First, let us define how does the different types of mediums, right? I'm going back to Luis and use the example of the computer, right? He was trying to charge the computer and you had the power outlet, right? So there are three types of mediums. There are the conscious, the semi-conscious, and the unconscious. The best example that I learned of how to differentiate these three types of mediums is through the computer. That's why I'm going back to Luis. So let's say I'm having a problem with my computer. You know, we always have problems with our computers, right? And I cannot solve the problem. So I need a technician to help me solve the problem. So I call Luis. Luis, I need help to fix my computer. So what's going on with your computer? I said, well, this is going on. And then he tells me what he thinks the solution is, and I go there and I fix the computer, and he keeps telling, now I think you should do that, and I do that. This is the conscious medium. He's telling me what to do, I think about what he tells me, and I do what he's telling me. That's how the conscious medium works. Receives the message from the spirit, goes through the brain of the medium, and the medium expresses the message. The semi-conscious. So, I call Luis, my computer is not working, I need help in fixing, and Luis tells, press this one, press the other one, press the next one. So he keeps telling me what to do, I keep doing it without thinking much, but kind of knowing what I'm doing. Not exactly because I'm just doing what he's telling me to do. I'm not thinking, but I'm doing semi-consciously what he's telling me. That's the semi-conscious medium, right? It's the one that kind of knows what's going on, kind of knows the message, but normally remembers the message after it finishes. Doesn't remember during it, remembers by the end. And the unconscious medium, so I call Luis and I tell him, my computer is not working. And he said, let me take over your screen and let me fix from my side. So I'm there looking at his work, but I'm not doing anything. So this is the unconscious medium. But one thing very important, I'm looking at my computer and I can see what he's doing. Anytime I can interrupt him if I want. I can eliminate his interference in my computer. So the unconscious medium has the ability of controlling the mediumship, the message he or she is receiving. So that's the unconscious medium. So these are the three types of mediums that we have, and I think it's important for us to define them in terms of understanding how a medium works in a mediumship meeting. I've been part of a mediumship meeting as a dialoguer, as I mentioned before, for more than 25 years now. Marcia was going to ask for us to talk about a personal experience, right? So I'm going to put that in my presentation now. When I started in Miami. We lived in Miami for a couple of years, and I started going to the mediumship meeting there. And I was training to be a dialoguer, right? When I concluded that I was not a ostensive medium, so I couldn't work as a medium, which is the objective of most people that start to study mediumship. They want to be a medium, and as I mentioned before, that's not the most important role. There was a medium receiving communication, and week after week, the medium would only cry. The spirit would come, and the medium would cry, wouldn't say anything. What a training for a dialoguer, right? Because you have to create everything, you have to say, there's no interaction. It's on a one-way street. So that was what I was going to tell about my personal experience. Anyway, going back to the mediumship meeting that I am part of. So I've been a dialoguer for more than 25 years now. And in the end, you are a medium also being a dialoguer, because sometimes I'm talking to the spirits communicating, and sometimes I say something, and after I say, where did this come from? Why did I say that? And that's when you see that we are all mediums. We all participate in the communications. Now, in the Medium's book, in question 226, Kardec asks if the development of mediumship has any relation to the medium moral development. And the answer from the spirits is no. The faculty is organic and therefore independent of morality. The same does not apply concerning the use, which can be good or bad according to the medium's character. So, again, mediumship is neutral. The use that we do of our mediumship is what makes the difference as a medium. Now, Marcia mentioned the book Disobsession. What's the importance of a mediumship meeting for a Spiritist center? André Luiz, in the introduction of the book Disobsession, which is available in English, says that each Spiritist center must possess and maintain a team of workers of disobsession, at least for its own defense and preservation, in order to assist the victims of spiritual disorientation that roam the doors of the center. That's the introduction of Disobsession. So, a Spiritist center serves many purposes, right? The basic concepts of Spiritism is to educate and to console, or maybe the other way around, to console and to educate. People that come to a Spiritist center come in look of, in most cases, consolation. They are struggling, they are suffering, they need help. So that's why it's important for a Spiritist center to have a fraternal assistance work, that you can help those that come to a Spiritist center in search of solution for their problems. The person providing the fraternal assistance, the workers of a Spiritist center that provide fraternal assistance, aren't they mediums also? Because they are going to speak to the person? Well, first, they are going to listen to the people, right? One mistake that we make a lot, we that are working fraternal assistance, is we want to talk and we don't want to listen. And that's the other way around. That should be the correct one. Sometimes the person wants just to vent. They talk of all the problems, you don't say anything, and they leave happy. I solved my problems, and you didn't say anything, right? Because sometimes it's all they need. So, a Spiritist center must have this. Now, these people come and they bring together, they bring their companions, their spiritual companions. And these spiritual companions are kept in the Spiritist center for later assistance. And where is this assistance taking place? In the mediumship meeting, right? So that's what André Luiz mentions here, the defense and preservation of the Spiritist centers. If you don't have a way to help the spirits that come with the incarnate ones to a Spiritist center, you are not doing the work to its full capacity, right? You're doing half of the work. You are leaving the spirits without direction. So the mediumship meeting serves to help and assist those spirits in need. Now, when we talk about mediums, let's go back to mediums. Educating mediumship, right? Because a lot of time we receive people that arrive at the Spiritist Center for the first time, especially those that have some type of ostensive mediumship, and they say, oh yes, because I come from Brazil and I spoke with a friend that has a friend that goes to a spirit center, and they told me that I need to develop my mediumship. And I always look at them and say, no, you need to educate your mediumship. That's the first thing. Why do I need to educate my mediumship? Because we need to understand the universe, we need to understand ourselves, we need to understand other evolving creatures, the law of cause and effect. All of this is going to help us educate our mediumship. We'll need to learn about mediumship interaction. How does it work? You know, Luis explained very well the scientific aspect of mediumship, right? This is very important. We need to learn how mediumship works so we can educate our own mediumship. We need to understand about spiritual fluids, right? Because we need to learn about the perispirit. The communication is done perispirit to perispirit. What is the perispirit? Our spiritual body. How does it work? So a medium receives the communication how? Mediums go in trance, and the perispirit detaches a little bit from the physical body, connects with the perispirit, with the communicating spirit, and receives the thoughts, and interprets the thoughts and expresses it. So a communication is never 100% from the spirit. There is always part of it that is the medium that is communicating, because you receive a thought and you use your own words to interpret the thought. You need to understand better about the nature of spirits, right? Here and beyond. You need to understand the properties of the perispirit, the relevance of the perispirit in the medium, in the communications. You need to learn more about the types of mediumship, right? Luis mentioned about different types of mediumships in different parts of the world according to the magnetic fields. Yes. Now, you are a medium. Yes, but what type of mediumship you are going to develop, right? And again, the medium may want something, but may not have what the medium wants. So you have psychography, you have psychophony, you have clairaudience, clairvoyance, you have all of them, you have some of them. How do you educate your mediumship if you do not learn about the different types of mediumship? And then we have the technical aspects of mediumship, right? You need to practice. If you are going to develop your mediumship, you need to practice. And with the Spiritist knowledge, what are you going to learn? You are going to learn how to differentiate the types of spirits that are communicating by their fluids, by their vibration. The spirit approaches you and you know the type of spirit that is going to communicate by their vibration. We need to learn, as we are educating ourselves, we need to learn to concentrate, to allow the communication to enter into a trance state and allow the connection between the spirit and ourselves. To understand how the process unfolds, the whole process of mediumship. And the most important thing that we need to learn on the technical aspect, maintain control during the manifestations and analyze the results. We talked a little bit on the Q&A, right, to analyze the results. But the medium needs to be able to control the spirit that is communicating. The spirit may want to scream, the spirit may want to throw the medium to the floor. The medium needs to control. So any time you see a medium that is completely out of control, it's not, you don't blame the spirit, you blame the medium. The medium hasn't learned to control oneself. Now, the medium doesn't have to be a stone, right? No, of course you express the anger, you express the hate, you express the feelings of the spirit, but in a controlled environment and in a controlled way. So if the spirit wants to scream, you don't scream, you talk strongly, angry. If the spirit wants to bang the table or the chair, you control it, you don't allow it. So this is the learning that only comes with educating your mediumship. And the most important part of it that goes all together is the moral aspect of the medium, right? It's essential that the medium undergoes the inner transformation to free themselves from disturbing spirits that are going to disrupt the work. Again, the suffering spirits that are going to communicate, they are allowed to communicate. The disturbing spirits that come only to, the name says, disturb the meeting, needs to be kept away from the meeting. So we need to learn how to be vigilant. We need to learn how to pray, how to conduct ourselves inside the Spiritist Center and outside the Spirit Center, and the importance of practicing charity towards others, which will, of course, attract superior spiritual influence. Now, Manuel Filomeno de Miranda says that mediumship education, like the development of any skill, requires time, patience, perseverance, study, and interest. You need to dedicate yourself, 90% perspiration. You need to work on it. Mediumship is a gift, but if you don't work on it, it's going to be a gift that is going to cause you more pain than benefit. Albino Teixeira, in the book Peace and Renewal, he says that the best medium for the spiritual world is not the one who has many faculties, but the one who is always willing to learn and is always ready to serve. You see how important it is, everything that we are saying here. Now, talking about the mediumship meeting, right? A question that I get asked many times is, why we have to have mediumship meetings? We help 12 spirits, 15 spirits, and this is a very small number in comparison to the needy spirits. And they are right in that logic, because that's not the objective of the mediumship meeting. You know how many people discarnate throughout the world weekly? Guess. How many people die, to use the lay term, throughout the world in 1 week? 1 million. 150,000 per day. 1 million people die every week. How many mediumship meetings there are in total? So you see that the numbers doesn't match, right? So what's the purpose of the mediumship meeting? It's for us incarnates. We are the beneficiaries of the mediumship meeting. Why? We are learning, educating ourselves, and working on charity, helping spirits in need, and of course, it's not only the 12, because there are many others that are brought to the Spiritist Center that they, by just listening to the communication, they are helped and assisted. But we need to change this perspective of mediumship meeting being a work to help the spirits. It's not. It's a work to help ourselves. That's why when we had the pandemic, people say, oh, what's going to happen to the spirits where we cannot have mediumship meetings? They're being taken care there. The spiritual world has enough resources to take care of all of them. We are the ones that are going to miss the opportunity of working in the mediumship meeting. In the book Challenges of Mediumship by Raul Teixeira and Camilo, question 58, Camilo says, it will be more useful, more convenient for the mediumistic worker who cannot attend a Spiritist center for the study of the doctrine and practical activities, meaning if you have to choose the studies. If you can only go to the Spiritist Center once a week, or you can only attend one meeting a week, choose a study group, because it's going to help you much more than the other activities of a Spiritist Center, because our first responsibility to ourselves is to educate ourselves. And we are going to only be able to educate ourselves by studying, first and foremost. Of course, we're not going to, after we study for some period of time, we are not going to stop there. We know that. We are going to want to do more. But if we have to start somewhere, let's start with studying. We, Brazilians especially, are very used to go to the Spiritist Center to receive the passes, to receive the water, and go home without making any more effort to learn, right? I remember there was a person that went to, very long time ago, a person that came to our Spiritist Center for the first time in New York. She was Brazilian, and she said, I've been a Spiritist for 36 years, but I never studied. And I said, wow, okay, so you're kind of a Spiritist, right? You're Spiritist in name, but not in practice, right? So, again, Guidelines for Safety, a book I mentioned before that Raul and Divaldo produced together. That is a book of questions and answers about mediumship. That is a wonderful and very interesting book. In question 45, it said, it is advisable that someone experiencing mediumship-related issues be guided to study sessions so that they may first become evangelized, learning the doctrine in order to later channel their mediumistic abilities in a positive direction. Again, the importance of studies. Why we talk so much about the importance of studies? Because when we talk about a mediumship meeting, we want participants of the meeting, people that understand Spiritism, that understand their own responsibilities, understand their own challenges. Again, we are not perfect. We are going to bring to a mediumship meeting our own imperfections, our own challenges, our own shortcomings. But yes, that's why we are incarnated on earth still and are not incarnated in a better world. So nobody is expected to be perfect, but we are expected to give the best that we can according to our abilities. Now, one other question that is commonly asked in a mediumship meeting is, sometimes, and I as a dialoguer experienced this time and time over and over, you talk for 10 minutes with the spirit, and then by the end you think, I didn't do any difference here. The spirit hasn't changed anything. Now think of us incarnates. Let's say Marcia comes to me with a problem, and I talk to her with 10 minutes. Was I able to solve her problem? Was I able to? Maybe I directed her into the right path to trying to solve the problem, but I'm not going to fix her in 10 minutes, or she's not going to fix me in 10 minutes. So we cannot fix a spirit problem in 10 minutes or 15 minutes. because it's not recommended that it goes more than 15 minutes. But what difference does it make then for the spirits? Well, in the book Madness and Obsession by Manuel Filomeno de Miranda and Divaldo Franco, chapter 11, it says that in the same way that electroshock therapy applied to mental patients, the spirits magnetized through a medium receive a charge of electricity, what is called the word disappeared now, of course. I'll get back to that. So the anemic shock, sorry, there it is. The anemic shock is sometimes the only thing that the spirit needs, because many of these suffering spirits, they are immersed in a mono idea, hatred, regret, guilty. They can't get rid of their own internal world. And by receiving the anemic shock, it allows them to, first, they are still connected to our vital fluids, right? So they are able to reduce the harmful vibratory change. And also, through the medium, they expel these negative energies. So the medium, we can consider the medium as a magnet, and the spirits in a certain vibratory range, it's when it connects to the medium, you know, it kind of get rid of these negative vibrations that he has and allows them to recharge. So they come, they talk, you think that you didn't make any difference, but as it says in the other book by Manuel Filomeno de Miranda, Path of Liberation, the spirit is brought back later in another meeting, more prepared to have the conversation and to deal with what's going on with them. So an issue that many spirits, the risk of these spirits that are immersed in what we call mono-idea, which is the spirit only thinks about one thing, is that eventually, if they keep doing that for a very long time, they lose the perispiritic form, right? They become an ovoid, which André Luiz describes very well in the book In the Greater World. And once the spirit loses its perispiritual form, it becomes very hard for them to regain their normality. They normally have to come to a couple of new reincarnations to repair. So by bringing these spirits, connecting them to mediums, they discharge this energy that is very harmful to them and allows them to see a little bit different, to think a little bit different. And then it allows them to prepare better to deal with their issues. Now, for a medium to be able to deal with that, you need an educated medium. We are going to go back always to the same, right? Because the medium receives this spirit and receives this shock, feels bad, feels very uncomfortable. It releases the fluids, treats the spirit, treats the medium. When it finishes the meeting, the medium is feeling better, is feeling relieved, and it helped the spirit. And the spirits, normally you have one spirit communicating, and some spirits that are going through the same issue, that have the opportunity to listen, they don't need that much the contact with the medium. So the one that is connected to the medium is the one in most need of this anemic shock. But the others can by just listening to what's going on, the conversation, the dialogue, and the spirit, they can benefit from this communication. So, the importance of the mediumship meeting and the mechanics of it, right? Normally, the recommendation is to have a meeting with no more than 14 people, right? You can do up to 20 people if you divide the group in two. Guidelines for safety again. You have dialogue, the director of the meeting, that can be a dialoguer or not. In our case, the director of the meeting is a dialoguer. It's between me and another colleague that works at the SGNY. We have mediums, as many as we can deal with, right? Recommended 2 communications per medium, at most 3. If you one day you have only 2 mediums, you can have 3 communications per medium. If you don't, you have 2. Number of mediums also, you know, you cannot have 10 mediums because you don't even have time for 1 communication per medium. If you have too many mediums, you divide the group in 2. Using the same room, a different room. Here, for instance, you have many rooms, so you can do 2 different mediumship meetings in different rooms. But it's important to have those that, what we call mediums of support, which are mediums, not ostensive mediums, not dialoguers, but are there just to bring the balance, the vibratory energies to a level that allows everyone to be connected and in good vibrations, right? One of the challenges of a mediumship meeting is to keep yourself focused and concentrated. It's very easy for us to get distracted, right? When you are in the middle of the dialogue with the spirit, you are focusing on the dialogue so you don't get distracted. But when someone else is doing the dialogue and you are just listening and trying to send our good vibrations, it's very easy to get distracted. It's very easy to think about, you know, the problems that you have on your daily lives and what you are supposed to do after the meeting. How do you deal with that? Don't start feeling guilty. It happens to everybody. Recognize the problem. Bring yourself back to the meeting as many times as you need. Don't be too much worried if it happens 20 times during the meeting. As long as you recognize and bring yourself back, focus on trying to refocus on the group, on the discussion, on the communications. Eventually, it's going to become more natural, and it will reach a point that it will become completely natural. I was reading, again, from the book from Raul, the Guidelines for Safety, right? An example that I thought it was very interesting, right? How something becomes a habit, how something becomes something that it's part of you. Think about reading, right? Once you learn to read, you cannot not read. I look at this sign, it's immediate, it's automatic, I read. You cannot unlearn. I cannot look at it and decide not to read, right? So once we make these things become habit, these trainings that we do, and we do with mediumship, with meditation, with all these different challenges that we have, all falling into the 90% perspiration, once they become a habit, they are part of us. We no longer need to worry with them. So for us to be good workers, we have to work hard. And where life takes us, we allow it to happen, right? We may end up in a place that there is no Spiritist center, and we open a Spiritist center, right? We may be a medium in a place that there are no mediums around or no Spiritist centers around. We start our own work in different ways. But the important thing is, do we really want it? Is something that we want to be part of our life? And again, there is no problem in saying, no, I'm not ready, I don't want it, I want to do something else. There is someone that goes to our, that has been studying with us for 20 years, and we invited him to the mediumship meeting after a certain point, and he said, okay, He went there once, he went there twice, and then after the second one, he said, you know what, this is not for me. I'm really not interested that much. It was interesting, I was curious to hear, but now that I saw, I don't want to be part of it. He continued studying with us till today. That's not his interest, and that's very important for us. Let's focus on what we care. Let's direct our focus and our energies on something that can be productive for us and for others. And if we do that, then we are on the right path of our moral and intellectual evolvement. That was it for me. Thank you very much for your attention. I did it exactly in time, right? Thank you.
Thank you, João, for sharing this enlightening content on mediumship. So we will now have a break. We will be back here and online by 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And then we're going to have a second Q&A session. So as a quick reminder, you can put your questions on the paper, you can ask them live, or you can put it in the chat, okay? So let's enjoy some coffee. Thank you.
depois que começar, você pega o gosto, você vai ficar nervosa sempre. Ficar nervoso é um bom sinal, isso eu aprendi com o Divaldo. O Divaldo que deu 10.000 palestras, means that you care. O dia que você não ficar nervosa, pode ter certeza que... Você já ouviu a história do Divaldo, da segunda palestra dele?
Eu, Jesus amado, eu sou mas inglês sobre porque eu não leio. Mas esse é o meu pela experiência, eu sinto assim que a espiritualidade fala assim, vai lá e fala o que eu quis você falar.
Deixa eu dar um testemunho, porque você falou que eu uso aqui uns 15 anos atrás, não sei, eu tinha acabado de ver de talvez. Aí eu fiz lá no Spiritist mas assim, além de ser difícil, é difícil. Aí eu fiz em português. Aí o pessoal daqui me pediu para fazer a mesma palestra na outra semana em inglês. Aí na outra semana me pediu para fazer uma palestra. 3 palestras para 3 palestras. Depois, disseram 3 pessoas que iriam se suicidar e estudar naquela palestra. E um do adolescente que foi uma adolescente que nunca mais foi, um amiguinho do adolescente, ele ficava assim, né? Porque também deu o memória específica, né? E aí ele ficava, ele nunca tinha consciência de espírito, eu falava sobre suicídio. E aí ele falava, ele estava assim gravado, ele ficou assim, meio perturbado, porque interrompia. Aí depois, o pai da menina, que era meio amigo, falou que esse menino viu o pai, aí o livro da Jussara foi muito importante, você está entendendo? Porque a dor do que ficou.
Durante a palestra, no final, eu abri aleatoriamente ela faz mensagem, assim, abri, e eu foi uma mensagem, não lembro qual é a mensagem, foi uma mensagem tão linda, tão linda. A gente se escutar de coração e espiritualidade, por exemplo, eu estava trabalhando no evento que o João trabalha esse evento, só que trabalhava nessa empresa aqui, sempre era mais uma colega. 20.000 pessoas nesse evento, no primeiro dia você está feito, e aí ela falou que você estava sentada no lado e colocou a cabeça na mão, sabe? Aí Denise perguntou se ela está bem, como faz? Eu não, tá lá. Aí eu pedi para mim, ocupada, tá bom? Pergunta como ela está. Falei, não. Aí começou essa batalha, tá bom, não consigo trabalhar. Aí coloquei no braço a volta dela. Falei, ok. Não. Aí eu comecei a conversar com ela, só que entrou 3
chega no meio do caminho.
Sabe o que eu quero agora? Eu quero usar isso aqui porque eu quero muito falar que existe uma assim, tá falando like a pain path. It's a pain share. Como eu preciso deixar essa. E eu me esqueço. Eu tenho feito cursos, tentando entender mais. 404, 5, 2, 0. Porque há 4 anos atrás, isso foi em 1977. Teve muitas dívidas da
Aí passou para setembro, agora esse ano, primeiro ano não vai ter, porque a Dulce mudou para Vermont, então está uma confusão lá. Quem organiza é o Tri-State Spiritist Federation. É o menor de Nova York, é a Federation lá de SSF, Spiritist Federation. TSS Federation.org. Aí você vê, vai ter informação lá, mas esse ano não vai ter, porque a organizadora mudou para o Vermont, então ela está ainda mudou o marido, não sei o que, as coisas, life happens.
Esse ano, assim, na fundação, a gente está fazendo Canada Adventure, a gente fez um Canada Adventure em setembro, dia 10 de setembro, que é o Dia Internacional de Prevenção ao Suicídio. E a gente faz outro evento também para quem ficou left behind, in person.
Isso que a Ju falou no livro, né? Cada pessoa que se suicida tem 6 pessoas diretamente afetadas.
Tem um folheto que eu e a Luana, porque antes de fazer a palestra, aliás, a palestra em português duas coisas estão defasadas, o que a gente colocou lá, agora porque tem tudo onde a gente então, é uma coisa onde as pessoas podem chegar ali, podem
Portugal, brasileiro, mora em Portugal. Eles fizeram criar uma fundação chamada da memória, acolher, viver, eu acho. E ali, ele é bicicletista.
eu sei, eu já vi, eu sigo ele, eu já vi muito bacana o trabalho dele.
3 ou 4 vezes. Fez palestra, né? Fez palestra português e inglês. Mas ele vai em vários países na bicicleta. Vamos falar sobre suicídio? Só isso. É um sinal para falar sobre suicídio. Ou seja, quebrar o tabu que você passou, né?
Porque eu não tenho contato de ninguém da família.
É a dor muito grande.
Só meu filho. Meu filho é o primeiro. Vamos lá, Nicolas é o primeiro que está lá comigo. Quer dizer,
Deixa eu te perguntar uma coisa, você trabalha com pessoas que tentaram suicidar, pessoas que estão... Estou te perguntando pelo seguinte, hoje o Marcelo estava saindo lá da casa dele, falou que a vizinha dele tentou se matar essa semana. Terceira tentativa em 2 meses que ela tentou se matar, se jogou. Por causa de 2 andares, se jogou do 2º andar. Obviamente não morreu e se machucou e tal.
That's the example right there. Yeah, but you are right.
Eu tenho uma história que talvez ela tenha ouvido, não é de suicídio especificamente, mas é algo parecido que tivesse a última conferência de vitória. Eu dei palestra, chegou uma moça para ela, depois da palestra, e falou, posso dar um abraço? Não pode, ela não pode dar um abraço. No passado, eu estava em casa com o namorado e a gente assistiu a tua palestra, a gente combinou. Esse ano a gente vinha para a Vitória da Conquista para assistir a tua palestra. Ele morreu 6 meses depois. Mas eu resolvi vir de qualquer jeito em homenagem a ele e trouxe minha filha. Para ver você.
Pois é. Aí você fica,
Você faz a palestra em português e essa palestra que eu falei hoje, um monte disso aqui eu peguei livro em português, passei por IA e traduzi, revisei a tradução.
It depends on the title of what you're going to say. If marketing presented as near-death experience, they show up. If it's what is spiritism, they don't show up.
Well, we thought about that, and we kind of tried to capture
muito bom.
Aquele livro tem inglês. Tem inglês, eu traduzi.
eu acho que não tenho ele em inglês.
Eu comprei para alguém em inglês.
Isso foi antes do chat GPT, porque agora eu acabei de traduzir o Consolador, mas com o chat GPT fica muito mais fácil.
Fala não, pega o que ele falou. Eu me lembro daqui.
speaking more than rational. The problem is that most of the people involved in Spiritism are Brazilian, so they naturally they will explain it what's going on.
The same way they do that.
Yeah, so
That's the problem.
maybe there needs to be a class.
That's how
aí que a gente já... Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Hope you had a nice break. For our second Q&A session of the day, we kindly ask João, Luis to return to the stage here, where we'll be addressing questions. And if you previously submitted a question that was not answered, or you have a follow-up question, just please resubmit and we'll address it, okay? Thank you.
Okay, we did receive, oh, is it working? The mics?
Hello.
Hello, hello,
Okay, very good.
voice. Exactly.
All right, we'll kick it off with a question to João. What should one do when they receive instructions from the spirits that are not in line with Spiritism? What should one, a medium, I think, do when they receive instructions from spirits that are not in line with the concepts within Spiritism?
Well, the question there is the message itself, right? We cannot say that only things that come from Spiritism are good things. We can receive beautiful messages from everywhere in the world, from all religions and all beliefs and outside religion. So the important thing is the quality of the message. And again, if we are in doubt what to do with the message, put it aside and wait for us to improve a little bit. But if we receive a message that is uplifting, that can be of help to us or to others, let's use the message. Let's disseminate the message. There's nothing wrong. It doesn't have to come from a spirit that is connected to Spiritism. The truth is out there everywhere. The problem is our interpretations of the truth. That's what creates the issues.
Now to Luis, can animals be mediums?
A medium establishes communication with the outside world using the five senses somehow. So, no, I mean, they don't have the
ability.
the bodily structure that we have to
Okay.
be able to convey the message over.
Okay,
If they don't talk here, why they will talk there?
right.
Mediums don't bark.
Then another one to you, Luis. What should one do when he or she is surrounded by negative spirits, both incarnate and disincarnated?
We're here for trials and expiations. That means they are all here with us. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in an environment for trials and expiations. So they are all here. It depends on our thoughts, on our ability to filter out the bad stuff. We need to, it's not that we cannot. We can. We are able to filter out bad stuff and identify what's good, what's bad. The problem is it's hard to sustain. We do at times fragmented here and there and there. And when you, the periods that you're not sustaining it, that's where the danger takes place, because they come through and they knock us down. But we have that ability. It's just a matter of, being thoughtful all the time.
Anything? No? Okay. So to you, João, does the unconscious medium truly yield complete control to the spirits?
Not complete control, right? Because what happens with the unconscious medium is that it's not going through the brain of the medium. So the message is not filtered by the medium, it's passed directly through the psychophony, through the voice, or through the psychography, right? But the medium has to have control over the communication, and the medium has the ability to control. The example I gave with the computer is exactly that. He's messing up with my computer, but I'm looking what he's doing. So he decides to access a site that I don't like. I block his access. I cut his access. So that's the same thing with the unconscious medium. The medium is not aware of the communication being given, but the medium is in control of the spirit giving the communication, in control of how the spirit is expressing oneself. So it's the message that is unconscious. It's not the connection that is unconscious. Okay? Yeah, I don't know if you understand the difference, right? So the medium finishes the message, has no idea what he or she has spoken or written or anything like that because it's unconscious. But the control of the spirit communicating, the medium has to have it all the times.
Thank you, João. This one is for you, Luis. Please elaborate on Kardec's statement that a medium might have his mediumship suspended.
The medium must have what?
Might have the mediumship capability suspended.
Yeah, when the medium starts to deviate from the goal, the target, and the target is known. Once the medium is educated, he knows what he has to do, what the objective is. When he starts to deviate, to go other ways, and that's what the book, The Messengers, talks about. Mediums are going, diverting, drifting apart from the route they should take. Yeah, it will bring consequences. Part of this is the inability to continue its work, because they might not be doing good work if they're drifting apart. So mediumship, the ability to continue with mediumship is going to be, I would say, suspended or taken away, something like that. They stop being able to do this, so they don't bring anything that could be harmful for the medium himself, society, those around it. So yes, they can get blocked.
And if you think about it, you think more seriously about it, it's a way to protect the medium from itself, right? So the medium that deviates from the path and doesn't lose their mediumship are just digging deeper and deeper the hole for themselves. If they lose their mediumship, the spirits are protecting the medium from him or herself.
From being harmful to himself.
Yeah, I think this answers another question, which was, what are the dangers of reaping profits from one mediumship? Because if, I guess if you're profiting through it, you might further insure yourself.
Yeah, I would like to address this issue, because we live in a country where mediumship for hire is common, accepted, and widespread. So we cannot come here and try to eliminate something that is widely accepted. We have to explain mediumship according to Spiritism, but we cannot discriminate mediums that never heard of Spiritism, that never heard that what they are doing is illegal or immoral or not correct, and try to take away their means of living sometimes, right? Many years ago, 2008-07, we went to Lilydale, which is the city of mediumship in the US, right? Where you have a whole village full of mediums that are paid to receive messages and give communications. And they work in a very nice environment. Divaldo made a beautiful lecture there. People love the the talk that Divaldo gave. Divaldo never mentioned anything about paid mediumship, of course. They do their work trying to do good to others. They, of course, when you have 50 millions, you're not going to say all 50 work for the good of others. Some of them are not. Some of them are thinking on their own profit. But some of them are doing it for the right reasons. So who are we to go there and say you cannot do this anymore? We have to respect their way of doing things. And yes, should we spread Spiritism and spread how Spiritism sees mediumship and how Spiritism think we should use mediumship? Absolutely. But not trying to prevent others to do what they think is right, and they understand they always did that, or they come from parents that did that, and it's well accepted, and it's part of the culture of the place. So we have to be very careful. Let's not go out there, start criticizing all the paid mediums because the Spiritism does not recommend it. Kardec talks about paying mediums, and he says, if you read in the medium's book, he says in a way that you should not do it, you are risking problems with it, but if you do it and it's your only ways to survive, then take certain precautions. He talks about it in the medium's book. So let's not be too extreme on the attacks of mediums for hire, and let's try to understand that some of them end up benefiting others, right? Now, a Spiritist medium that charges, that's a different story. Then it becomes a problem, because we should know better, right? Then it becomes a problem, but let's separate the things.
Okay. Then another question, I think, to you, João. As a Spiritist, is it more important to study to further develop oneself, or do charity and help others?
Both. But you ask what's more important, right? What do you think about Mother Teresa? Did she spend her time educating herself or doing charity? What is more important? If the only options are doing charity and studying, my opinion, we should do charity, because by helping others, we're helping ourselves. And by doing charity, because our wings of evolution is the moral and the intellectual, right? And the intellectual one is the easy one. The moral is the difficult one. Because on the moral one, we have to eliminate our imperfections. It's always more difficult to eliminate things than to add things. On the intellectual side, we are only adding things. We already know. I know how to read. Now I need to know how to read in German, right? So it's adding on what I already know. Now, eliminating my selfishness is hard work, because it's part of me. I'm selfish. So I need to work hard. And by doing charity, you are working on your imperfections, trying to eliminate your imperfections. So if you have to postpone the learning for later or for future reincarnation, that's fine. We are going to do it when we can. So ideally, you should do both, but if you have time only to either do charity or educate yourself, in my opinion, practice charity.
Thank you, João. And when we practice charity, we think we're helping others, but we're helping ourselves mainly, right?
Primarily.
To both of you, is it possible to confuse schizophrenia with mediumship or vice versa?
Well, that's complicated, because mediumship has a well-defined purpose. And the personality of the person has to allow for that to happen. They might interfere at times. So when somebody who is schizophrenic has to provide a certain result, because of that condition, he might not be able to, even though the purpose is known. Like, you don't have the ability to produce that because of the personality. So, yeah, one might interfere in the other. And other health conditions, situations, yeah, the people who have, brain damages in certain parts, they might not be able to process what they need to process to achieve the goal.
Maybe Marcia can say something.
How do you handle a situation in which a mediumistic session drains all your energy? What can be done about it, and why does it happen? So, to both of you, based on your experience.
First, we need to look at physical aspects, right? So why your energy is being drained? Isn't it because you already started from a low level of energy because you spent your day, overextending yourself? So if that's not the case, if you arrive at the mediumship meeting with a normal amount of energy, prepared for it, and you ended up completely drained, something is not working right in the mediumship meeting. You are allowing yourself to be drained of the energy. A medium, when he is feeling this energy is being drained, should ask for passes. The people that are in the support of the mediumship meeting also give passes to the mediums to replenish them of energy, to clean them of the energy, the negative energies that the spirits leave connected to them. So they should ask for passes. They should leave the mediumship meeting better than they started. Normally they start with a lot of the mediums, the spirits attached to them. They work as an ambulance and bring the spirits to the meetings, and so they should leave feeling better. If they are feeling worse, something is wrong. It's difficult to say in the general terms, but they are allowing themselves, because how do we drain ourselves? Either physically or mentally, right? So if they are sitting, they are not draining physically, they are draining mentally. Why they are draining themselves mentally? And you have to answer, to find the answer yourself, right? But one resource that we should use is to ask for passes.
Energy is leaking somewhere, and it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be.
Thank you. Talking about energy, can frightening Halloween decorations attract lower order spirits?
Anything can attract low order spirits if you have bad thoughts. Halloween, if you think about a classic Halloween, you will have these images in these movies and these things, these reruns for 30 years, every October 31st. So we as a society, not we as people, but we as a society, we are sustaining this thing. We are feeding the psychosphere with this, at least in part of the year. And if we are doing this, what do we expect? Right? It can't be good. Not necessarily it's going to be a disaster for each one of us here on October 31st, but we are sustaining something that we shouldn't be in the first place.
Does the cross expel the obsessing spirits and exorcism? Is it the cross that works? Again, physical objects are just physical objects. The energy that we put behind them is what really counts, right? So if you look at the Halloween decorations and you start thinking about scary spirits, you may be attracting them. If you look at Halloween decorations and you think, oh, how nice, it's fun. You look at this house, so many lights, so beautiful. You're not attracting any inferior spirits. You're just happy with with what you are seeing, and the energy is different, right? So physical objects should not work one way or another if we don't allow it, right? It's we allow the physical objects to interfere with our lives. Normally people ask, is there any problem to light a candle in the home when I'm going to do the prayer, the gospel at home? You know, it's not a problem if it helps you focusing, if it helps you concentrating, if it helps you do the gospel with better mental energy. Fine, light a candle. The problem is the day you don't have a candle, you don't do the gospel because you don't have a candle. That's when you are creating problems for yourselves, because you're depending on the candle. But anything that helps you in a positive way, and you don't get attached to it, use it. If it helps, why not? Right?
Yeah, the candle is just a candle. It depends on what it means to you.
Yeah.
You might mean something that, it's dark, I need light. That's all it is. You might mean, it gives me a better state for gospel at home, puts me in a better state. Or it could be, you light a candle as somebody's dead. You see, it's what it means to you. It's not the candle itself.
Got it. João, could you please talk a little bit more about the dialoguer role?
Sure. So, what are the requirements to be a dialoguer? Study. It always goes back to that, right? What's the basic book for a dialoguer? The Gospel According to Spiritism, right? Because you are not there to enter into a discussion. You are there to provide hope and consolation for the spirit. You have a suffering spirit or an angry spirit that is looking for a way out of their own inability to get out of themselves, right? It's not going to be with an intellectual discussion, right? You find a priest, an ex-priest coming to communicate. The priest knows much more about evangelical themes, the gospel and everything than you. But if you can use the gospel to give consolation, to give hope, so a dialoguer needs to be a psychologist. Well, I'm a banker, so I'm very removed from psychology, right? So, no, but you need to learn a little bit about psychology. It's useful, right? Because you were dealing with people. When you talk to an incarnate, if you use psychology, you can talk to a discarnate in the same way. This discarnate is just an incarnate without a physical body, right? So it's the same. And is someone that is suffering, that is struggling, or that is angry? How do you deal with someone that is angry or in lack of hope or desperate? By giving hope and consolation. What are the instruments for you to be able to give hope and consolation? Study, understanding of our spiritual nature, understanding the process of how the spiritual world works, what the spirit needs to move on. And the first rule for a good dialoguer, listen first. We, dialoguers, make the mistake very often of wanting to talk too much. The spirit is not, sometimes I talk to the spirit, and in the end the spirit says, I didn't understand what you want to say. So I wasted my time and the time of the spirit. You need to listen. Sometimes the spirit just needs that anemic shock to talk. And you say, you are in a spiritual house of assistance, you're going to be helped, there is help for you. You don't need to say much. You don't need to show your knowledge of Spiritism, because many times they don't even know what Spiritism is, especially us working in English in our mediumship meeting. So study, right? Study the gospel according to Spiritism. But if you want to go a little deeper, For those that can read Portuguese, Diálogo com as Sombras, Hermínio Miranda. This Obsession, André Luiz through Chico and Valdo Vieira. And there is a book by Terezinha Oliveira, also again, Talking to Spirits in a Mediumship Meeting. It's a very basic book, very good to learn about how to be a dialoguer.
Thank you, João. And for you again, João, can you briefly talk about the examples you gave in your lecture about the conscious, semi-conscious, and unconscious, like the computer again?
To repeat?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm your
Please.
computer guy. Go.
Here is my computer guy, right? So your computer breaks, right? You need a technician to help you fix your computer. So I call Luis, and I tell him, listen, my computer is frozen in this page. What should I do? And Luis tells me, oh, you should do this and that, turn on and off, or all these things that we do in computer. So I listen what he has to say, and I do it myself. That's the conscious medium, right? I'm registering the information that he gives me. I'm using my own brain and my own thought process to do what he told me to do. That's the conscious medium. You are receiving the information from the spirit, perispirit to perispirit. The information goes to your physical brain, and you express it knowing what you are talking about. A conscious medium remembers all or most of the communication it gives or writes. The semi-conscious medium, again, I asked Luis to help me fix my computer, and he tells me, press A, press B, press X, am I doing what he's telling me to do without thinking too much? But I'm thinking, because I have to think how to execute what he's telling me to do. That's the semi-conscious. So the message goes through the medium's brain, but it doesn't stop there and then the medium thinks what to do. It goes through the brain direct to the hand or to the mouth, and the medium just expresses what is coming without thinking much of it. But it has some sort of understanding of what the medium is telling or writing. So it kind of remembers not everything, but remembers parts of what he said or wrote. That's the semi-conscious. The unconscious medium, again, I call him, he said, give me remote access. These are these programs, right, called AnyDesk, and that gives remote access. So I give remote access to him. He starts working on my computer and fixing the problem. I'm just looking at it and not doing anything. Maybe I'm not even understanding what he's doing, but he's there working on a computer and fixing it. Again, I have complete control over my computer. I can interrupt any moment, but I'm not aware of what he's doing. The unconscious medium will see the result of the mediumship after. So it will, maybe if it was recorded, it will listen. If it was written, it will read, but it doesn't know what it said or what it wrote. It's completely from the unconscious level. So it goes directly from the spirit to the mouth or to the hand. I hope it's clear now.
I think so. If not, you go back to YouTube and you listen again. All right.
Or you call a technician to fix your computer and see how it works.
So we don't have any additional questions. Any questions from the audience? Okay. If not, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. So we have reached a very special moment in our event. This year we are honored and blessed to have a very special guest with us. I'm certain we all know about Raul Teixeira, but it's never too much to be reminded of his journey and his mission here with us. Raul Teixeira was born in Niterói in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. He's one of the founders of the Spiritist Fraternity, established in 1980. This institution maintains a Spiritist social work called Remanso Fraterno, Brotherly Haven, which has been operating for 37 years, assisting underprivileged children and families. As a speaker, he has been to all Brazilian states and 45 countries, bringing the Spiritist message to thousands of people. He has published 40 psychographed books. Please join me in welcome Raul Teixeira to the stage to share with us a few reflections.
No remanso estão
The new time of mediumship it needs to be studied. Men of earth, they are sick. The kids that arrived on the homes of earth, they do not need anything beyond education. The children haven't been receiving from their parents spiritual education. Many kids come to planet Earth with the mission of mediumship. Their parents don't know that. Many Spiritist dads and mothers don't know that. They give toys to the kids, cell phones, nothing more than that. Expensive schools not more than that. And kids need Jesus. Kids in the spiritual plane, they promised Jesus. They would work in his vineyard. However, the parents want their kids to be the best ones. The best ones. At school, at clubs, at society in general. What about mediumship? Many Spiritist parents don't know that kids need to educate their mediumship. The gospel. They don't care about it. Kids are sleeping. Our youth want they want to have a life, the life of the world. Our young kids when they arrive at universities, they don't want to know about Jesus, no. Many materialistic professors they take away from the kids the idea of Jesus Christ, the idea of God, the idea of religion. That is why we see the kids getting sick, with illnesses that medicine cannot, that medicine don't know, because we have those diseases with brands. Or diseases, they have brands. Why? In the spiritual plane, we promised, but here we do not honor the promise. The parents, many of Spiritist parents, They don't know that their kids need Jesus. Those kids promised to Jesus they would work in his vineyard, the vineyard of God. No way. They think kids need toy. Yes. Many toys. Many toys make kids sick. Our young boys, they want to play. They want to enjoy life with drugs, sex. Then we know then you know that this life of the young kids, it will be a life of hell. Because youth don't know what it is to be, what it is that goes in their mind. There are many obsessors. And those obsessors, they come to disturb the youth, making them drink, use drugs, sex. And this young person, he or she gets old, without anything to bring back to the spiritual world. Kids don't know that, but the parents know that. The young one don't know it. The teachers and professors, they do know it. The world is sick. Mediumship is there. It's waiting for the mediums. Many parents. They don't have the capacity, the sensitivity of saying and seeing that my kid is a medium. Let's go to the School of Gospel. Parents say they are tired. They let the kids sleep. Many parents don't know that those kids aren't theirs. The kids, they are borrowed to them by God. St. Augustine, in the Gospel according to the Spiritist, he says that the mission of the parents is to show to their kids the way of God. No way. They say the kids need to play. Okay. One hour of the gospel. Just 1 hour. One hour of the Spiritist youth. Just 1 hour. Many people they spend their lives this way. After that, they spend with therapists, psychologists, many sessions. Many psychologists, they do not have the formula, the way to treat the kids. Because these kids are mediums. And the psychologists do not know that. That is why we're here on earth. We have a lot of blessings. Blessings that we all name Spiritism. We call these blessings gospel. My brothers and sisters, let's take care of our kids. Let's take care of our youth. We cannot cry in the spiritual plane. I see in the Spiritist meeting I see many parents, many dads, many moms, many teachers and professors. They are crying because they see their kids in the mud. All the money, the money doesn't give happiness, doesn't bring happiness. All the power, it doesn't bring happiness. I see that and I cannot do anything. Only Jesus, who is our shepherd, mediumship is there for the mediums. These mediums that study mediumship, these mediums that practice charity, these mediums that practice charity for themselves. My dear friends, let's thank Jesus for this day. Our Spiritist centers, they are schools for the soul. Our Spiritist centers, they are our workplace for love. Our centers, they're an office for charity. They're hospitals for the soul. This is what a Spiritist Center is. Let's give thanks to God. Let's watch our kids. We borrow them. Let's give thanks to God. Let's pray, my dear friends. Jesus, the Son of our souls, beyond the earth, we ask you for help. We ask you, Jesus, your goodness, we ask you for protection. to our kids, to our youth, to our parents. Jesus, we notice that the world is sick. However, you is our doctor. You are our doctor. Jesus, bless us today. Bless our countries. Bless our families. Bless our spirit. Thank you so much, Jesus. Thank you so much, the Son of our lives. Thank you. Thank you.
Muito obrigada, Raul. So thank you for this amazing presentation. And what a wonderful way to top off the first day of the event. Let's work hard to keep the elevated vibration throughout the year and come back here next year for the 18th conference. And at this time, let's thank Jesus again for allowing the realization of another Spiritist Conference of Georgia. And at this time, for our closing prayer, we invite João Chavarria to join us and say the final prayer. Thank you, João.
What can I say after that? But may we sit comfortable and connect with our spiritual friends, brothers and sisters of the spiritual realm, so we can praise our Lord, our God, King of Kings, for all the blessings received. We thank you, Lord, for this day. We thank you for all the blessings received. We thank you for the spiritual workers in both realms of life. We thank you, Lord, for the opportunity of gathering together here today to learn about mediumship. Not only because the opportunity of connecting and learning of the spiritual life. But because of the needs we have to learn about ourselves, to learn to love each other as our Master Jesus taught us. We thank you, Lord, for this opportunity to be together with our spiritual friends, praising you for all the blessings. For all the speakers today, we thank you, Lord. For those in the spiritual realm supporting these works, we thank you, Lord. And pray so we can continue tomorrow with these works, with these blessings. Asking you, Lord, so our homes are blessed, our families, this country, our Mother Earth. Asking you, Lord, for blessings of all those in suffering. Thanking you, Lord, for this day. Bless us all. Bless all of us go in our homes and stay with us now and forever. So be it.
Thank you, John. Once again, thanks to all speakers that are here, Jussara, all the volunteers and you, the audience. All the questions were very enlightening. This was a great day, but tomorrow we have more. So tomorrow we have our second day. We're still going to have Luis, João, and Jussara here. Carlos Campetti will also join us, as well as Raul, so it will be a very busy, but another awesome day for sure. So tomorrow it will be in Portuguese, but we'll have simultaneous translation for the ones who need it. So just find a volunteer and we'll make that available. And we'll start tomorrow at 9:45. Before then, we'll have a coffee for the ones who want to get in here a little earlier. And with that, I close today. Thank you so much, and God bless us all.